Hey everybody, welcome back to practice. My name is Brentan, and today I'd like to share with you a short floor-based gentle flow for when you want to get your entire body moving in all the directions it's designed to move, when you want to be warm, but you don't want to carve out so much time to do the heavy work. So when you're ready, I'm gonna recommend us to have a yoga strap today. And if you don't have that, I don't know if you have a belt from a robe or basically anything that's about this wide that you can use to provide some feedback. And when you're ready, we're gonna go ahead and bring our strap. What I've done here is I have folded it half and half again. And I'm just trying to get it a little bit wider than my torso, so that now we can come down, we can have the soles of our feet flat on the ground, we can pick the hips up and we can place the strap underneath the sacrum. So right across the back of the pelvis there. And now when you put your hips down, you should be able to feel it underneath you. So what we're gonna start with is a little spinal segmentation, mobility work for the spine. And what I want us to focus on doing here is pressing the spine down into the strap as much as we can and trying to kind of isolate that part of the spine. So noticing when we go to do this pushing down, what other parts of the spine also want to do work. Now let's see here if we can focus on tipping the spine and lifting the spine away from the strap. But again, we're only trying to do that small movement. And so we're gonna go back and forth, pressing the spine down into the strap and then lifting the spine away from the strap. And we're gonna wanna repeat it several times, maybe 4 or 5 times, just so our brain can have the experience of repeatedly sending the command. And with the understanding and the expectation that it's not gonna be perfect, it's a bumpy road. Maybe the brain sends the command and actually nothing really happens. So let's go ahead, ground our feet, lift the hips and slide the strap up a couple of inches toward more of the low back. And same thing, we're gonna see, can we press the spine down into the strap? Hold. And then can we lift the spine ever so slightly away from the strap? We're gonna go back and forth. And so not only is this great for the brain to start to figure out how to use and differentiate movement between the movable pieces of our spine, but you can also feel how it's impacting the abdomen and the torso and how it's teaching the torso what to recruit, when to recruit, how to recruit. Let's go again and take the strap another couple of inches up the spine. And again, pressing that part of the spine into the strap. And then lifting that part of the spine, ooh, that's tricky, away from the strap. And just going back and forth. And so here, now that the strap is high enough that the low back is sort of cleared from it, we're not trying to move the low back really at all, which is kind of crazy, right? Let's go another couple of slides up. So let's go one more kind of behind the mid-rib area. We'll press that part of the spine down and then we'll roll it up. And doing that a couple of times. And then let's move the strap up, maybe now just right underneath the shoulder blades. Again, down and up. And a couple more times. And one more time, we're gonna slide it up, this time behind the shoulder blades. Down and up. Good job. Okay, so let's go ahead, remove the strap. We can be done with that for now. And let's start kind of moving the rest of the body too, right? So let's go ahead and stretch the left leg out. We can keep the right foot on the ground. We might even take it a little bit wider than the hip. We can turn the leg open. We'll really kind of let that leg kind of do, pick its own position. We won't try to micromanage it so much. We're gonna press down with the right foot and start to kind of roll the right side of the pelvis off the ground and then come right back down to the floor. And so just that little movement, like we're trying to initiate kind of like a push and then rolling right back down. So let yourself repeat this a few times and just kind of play around with like, what are the different ways like I can use my feet, that foot? What's the different ways I can use the muscles of my legs? Can I start to feel that right glute, that right buttocks start to work a little bit? And now we can kind of start to build with it. So imagine like your upper body is just sort of flowing with you. So as you press down, maybe you kind of start to curl over and like your right arm picks up off the ground and then you come all the way back down. And you do it again and you just keep going, like, because you can get the upper body to roll all the way towards like fetal and then coming back down. Just kind of go with your own timing, your own breathing. See if you can get everything to feel kind of fluid and controlled. So as you repeat, you're looking for like, where do things feel chunky? Where do things feel out of control? And then the next time you come down, we can switch our sides so we can lengthen the right leg out, step the left foot in. And again, we're just starting with the pelvis. So we're gonna roll the left side up and down. And the first few times you get to figure out like, how do I wanna use my foot? How do I wanna use my leg, my buttocks? And now, like very slowly, you can start to kind of tease the upper body and let the upper body sort of follow the lead of the lower body. Try to see like if you can get everything to feel kind of smooth and controlled. So as you start to get the hang of it, maybe you start to go a little bit more slowly. And then as you feel ready, stepping the soles of the feet close into the pelvis, arms down by the side. We can press down with the feet and lift the hips. We want a posterior tilt to the pelvis. And in this position, that means the tailbone lifting up towards the backs of the knees, the frontal hip bones drawing down, but the frontal hip bones at the same time magnetizing toward each other. And so feeling that a little bit, we can just give the hips as much lift as feels comfortable there. Feel good in your ribs. Your front ribs should feel like they're drawing down. So like the front of your body feels like it has, some support. And we'll start just kind of moving around with the hips here. So rocking one side to the ground and then the other, using the feet and legs. And our glutes are our primary hip extensors. So see if you can feel the glutes sort of lift that side of the pelvis up when it's time for that side of the pelvis to lift. And as you feel ready, lowering the hips down, maybe windshield wipering the knees a little bit, one side, the next. And then as you feel ready, drawing the legs into the belly. Same thing, you can roll around a little bit. I'm gonna open the arms more to cactus, to a T, whatever feels good. And we're just gonna start kind of rocking and rolling from side to side just a little bit to begin with. And in that little bit, kind of consider like you're trying to keep yourself as a package. You're trying to keep yourself from your belly button to your feet as one package. And you're sort of just trying to rotate through the ribs and through kind of like the mid-back spine, let's say. And then you can start to add more range of motion if that feels good. So to add range of motion, it would be like almost taking yourself to a hover and actually pulling yourself more to fetal, and then rolling back through center, going to the other side. I have this mic here that I don't want to roll over. So how do I do that? I'll put it down here so I can do this. Yeah, that's better. And so the more like you can keep yourself kind of as a package unit, I think the more you're gonna feel kind of like that sense of support and stability through the trunk, through the abdomen, through the back. And then if you'd like, kind of land over in that twist over to one side. I'm gonna say the left side, so the legs are over to the left. So if you're different than me, then you gotta know that, right? So the right arm then, your opposite arm, reach it away from you. It can be, it can be just the elbow, or it can be the whole arm. And we wanna keep it hovering from the ground. Actually feel it kind of sucked in and drawn into your shoulder socket. So you're feeling like there's stability and support there. And we'll just sort of start like bouncing that arm in space, lifting and lowering it. And then moving it at a different angle away from the torso, same thing, lifting and lowering. And again, finding another different movement or angle away from the torso and then lifting and lowering. And find another couple of angles away from the torso, lifting and lowering. As you feel ready, go ahead, bring your package back through center, go over to your other side. I'll say the right side. So as you start in the fetal position, then you open your chest and you stretch that left arm or your other arm away from you, but feel it still kind of hugged into its socket there, and then explore a little lifting and lowering. And move it at a different angle away from the torso and lift and lower. And move it another angle away from the torso and lift and lower. And notice like where the brain computes and where it doesn't. And then find another couple of angles away from the torso. And as you feel ready, coming all the way back through center. Let's set our feet on the ground again with them a little bit wider than the hips, actually angling the toes out as well, heels in, toes out, arms down at the side. We can lift and lower for some dynamic bridge poses, so we can take the hips up and down. So taking the legs out wider, externally rotating them, those are all the jobs of the glutes, in addition to hip extension, which is when we lift the hips up like this. So now we're kind of saying, hey glutes, it's your time to shine. As you lift and lower the hips, keep that sense of that posterior pelvic tilt, what we just sort of created for ourselves. Just a couple more reps. Hopefully starting to feel the legs turn on. As you feel ready, lower the hips back down, anything that feels good to you here. And then we'll go ahead and come on up to a seat, however you want to do that. I'll just rock on up. And we'll actually meet whenever you're ready in tabletop position. So hands underneath the shoulders or a little bit farther forward. Knees underneath the hips. And we can just kind of move around in any way that feels good. Alrighty, from here, let's go ahead and come to a seated position. However you want to do that, I'll sit back on my heels for now, and I might change, but any way you want to sit. We're going to work with strengthening the upper back muscles by asking them to move the shoulder blades. So there's a way of moving our shoulder blades where our arms sort of tug them around. We want to try to minimize that as much as possible by setting the arms in neutral. I'm going to build a fist here, and I'm going to get really strong through the arms and really stubborn about it, where I'm going to say, hey, I want to try to limit as much movement here as possible, especially this rotational movement, because this rotational movement is going to be what kind of wants to move the shoulder blade around. So maybe I'll give you this perspective. The question is here, can I use the muscles of the upper back? Can I set my pelvis, my spine, my ribs in neutral, and then use the muscles of the upper back to draw the shoulder blades together? And then can I keep the shoulder blades drawn together? Can I keep the arms nice and straight? No rotation happening here. And then can I figure out what muscles I would need to recruit on my back to lift the shoulder blades up? And can I get really stubborn about the arms? I don't want them rotating. This one's challenging. Can I figure out how to move the shoulder blades away from each other? And can I figure out how to take the shoulder blades down? Okay, so I'm gonna see one more time, taking the shoulder blades together, lifting them up, moving them away, and taking them down. Now taking them up, taking them in, taking them down, taking them away. The away is really hard for me to do without my shoulders rolling forward. So one last time, lifting them up, squeezing them in, drawing them down, and release. Shake it out and just kind of see, like, you know, today it might just be the brain sending the command, but over time it'll learn how to recruit some of those muscles. They might even cramp a little bit the first time. Like the first time I felt actually my shoulder blade muscles back there, I was like, ow, that hurts. It's like a hamstring cramp. So one day we'll get it. But let's see here, coming back towards tabletop position, and now we just kind of feel like, can we do a little shoulder blade movement here as well? So a little protraction, retraction. And it's like a totally different story when we're here. And so remember, we're trying to limit the movement of the arms. And now it's almost like, can I find a place where I'd like to hold and ask my shoulders to stabilize as we tuck the toes under and maybe hover the knees off the ground and maybe twist, shifting the pelvis. Good job. We can go ahead and lower that down. And so going ahead and taking our legs out in front of us from here, we can come into a seat. So hopefully you feel a little bit refreshed through your whole torso, through your shoulders. And let's go ahead and take a Baddha Konasana with soles of the feet together, knees wide. And in this position, you decide if you feel really stuffed here, like you can't really move, maybe you lean back today and you work on just cat-cows in your pelvis, really trying to build some more mobility and space there. If you feel like you can be upright in your hips here, let's see. Can we take our arms, press them into the legs, and lift your legs into your arms? Slowly, just for the next like 30 seconds or so, start to build up a little contraction there. And now don't move your arms, but release the contraction and see if you can take your knees down a little bit away from your forearms without it sort of like crumpling your pelvis or like yanking on your pelvis. And then you take up any slack if there was any, and you do the same thing. So you push your forearms into your legs and you lift your legs into your forearms. So we're strengthening the muscles as they're being stretched. They love it. And same thing, we see, can I pull the legs away any amount without doing anything weird or wonky in the pelvis? All right, from here, we decide what do you want to do. You want to fold forward a little bit. How do you want to spend your time here in this pose? I'm just gonna see if we can train a little bit of active hip work here. So you decide if you can be totally upright, that's fine. If you need to be back, the point is that your pelvis out through your head is in neutral relationship. And so starting with maybe the legs forward here, we just see, can I pull a leg in and press it out? And we just do that a couple of times, any amount. And we try to do this without disturbing the pelvis or the back. And then we take that leg down, we do the other side. And just kind of shake it out there. If we plant the feet a little bit wider than the hips, we can windshield wiper. And then the next time you land on one side, you can just kind of stay there. You notice which leg, call it out, which one's an internal rotation. Just give that one a little bit more attention. And bringing it up through center, going over to the other side, same thing, call it out, which leg's an internal rotation. And finally, coming all the way back down onto the back, maybe resting here in active rest with the soles of the feet on the ground, the knees resting in on each other. Hands down by the side or wherever you find them most comfortable. So this floor-based flow, just designed to get you moving in all directions, get the brain mapping the body more specifically. And the goal is always to feel better, work better throughout the day. So if you have a few extra moments that you'd like to spend here, just kind of being silent for a while, really good for the nervous system, then I invite you to stay here. I'll drop out now and leave you to it. So thank you so much for joining. If you'd like to donate to this work, I'll leave a link to our Patreon in the description below. I'll see you here next time. Bye-bye.